Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let's do some local sports roundup brought to you by our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center this morning. We got girls state basketball that is underway in yesterday. We had a couple teams that fell just a bit short. Elk Mound falling and Durand, Arkansas falling in their games. Today, though, we've got Owen Withy that tips off in less than 2 hours, 9:05 tip-off. And then Rice Lake's in action this afternoon, 1:30, 1:35. So still a couple teams in our immediate vicinity here, Brandon, that could still compete for a gold ball.
For sure. And yeah, going back to yesterday, starting with that Division III matchup with Elk Mound and Appleton Xavier. I mean, for Elk Mound, it was just kind of a tale of two halves. Came out really strong, had an 8-point lead, I believe it was, going into the second half, and then just kind of went cold from the field, and Xavier really picked it up. Elk Mound, the first half, did an excellent job of playing defense and just kind of keeping the Hawks out of the paint. But as the game went on, Xavier hit some shots, and that kind of opened some other things up. But yeah, a great season for Elk Mound. I mean, three-peating as Dunn St. Croix Conference champions, getting to state for the first time since 1988. A lot for Coach Kongshog and that group to be proud of. And, they're going to have some of those kids back next year when they make the jump into the Western Clover Belt, which should make a really good conference even better.
Yeah, no kidding. So Owen Withy is the 4 seed?
They're the 4 seed,
okay.
Yep.
And then Rice Lake is the 4 seed.
They got, and
4 seeds.
Rice Lake plays the first game this afternoon. They'll be taking on Madison Edgewood. So, yeah.
That's right. That's going to be a tough one.
It is. Edgewood's very good. They're bumping up from D3, but they're a really good team. But, Rice Lake has got talent. We talk about it all the time. They play larger schools, and, they've got length, and I think that's going to be that's not going to be your typical 1-4 matchup there. I think, that's one that Rice Lake is going to be able to definitely kind of, show what it's got in a matchup right there on the big stage.
And then for boys, we know some of the, results last night, but then Elk Mound boys played a couple nights ago.
They did, because, they played Wednesday night because, obviously, you want to make sure there wasn't a conflict of interest with the girls playing yesterday. So.
Yep. But they won on Wednesday, right? Elk Mound boys did, so. And then last night they finished it up. Memorial falling a bit short in their rematch against Marshfield. New Richmond falling 1 point short against Wausau East last night. But Cumberland, Turtle Lake, Rib Lake, Cochrane, Fountain City, and then Elk Mound earlier all picked up wins.
Right. So, yeah, those games will be tomorrow. Kind of sprinkled throughout the day. Some are in the afternoon, some are in the evening. But, a bunch of those teams you mentioned, one game from state. Elk Mound is, they'll be taking on Amory. That game will be in Somerset. So, otherwise, here in Eau Claire, we're going to have at Eau Claire North, you're going to have Cumberland taking on Aquinas. Cumberland, you mentioned the big win over Ladysmith. Game that they were up, Ladysmith made a rally, but then they closed it out. So, I mean, there's, we're hitting that final week and a half of the winter season here.
Yeah, and I think the Rib Lake game's in Altoona.
It is.
So
it is.
If you got
Rib Lake, Turtle Lake. What is the superior lake?
A rib or a turtle? Oh, that's a good one. Boy, any Taylor County peeps, if you want to see Rib Lake in action,
there you go.
In our neck of the woods here. So, and for boys next week, that kind of wraps up the winter sports season.
Yep. The winter. So. I mean, the spring, you've got track practice already underway this week. A couple other sports get going next week, but
weather's been kind of decent for track practice.
It has. I have a feeling. A lot of these teams have been able to get out and run around outside, which is always better than trying to figure out how you're going to do it inside. Well, once we get other stuff going next week, we'll see how that's able to work. But yeah, we kind of roll from one right into another.
So I know it's they're still going on, but they're kind of getting close to wrapping up their season too. Chippewa Steel, right? So I know you just had a piece that popped up on the Chippewa Herald yesterday, I believe. So was it just 12 games left? A dozen games left of the regular season?
A fifth of the season left to go. This week they're down in Janesville for a couple games.
In-state rival.
An in-state rival, but they're right now they're in the final playoff spot out of the Midwest Division, but they got some teams hot on their heels, and so just kind of touch base and a couple different things to watch with the team as they kind of hit the last fifth of the year, and as they go for their second playoff berth. They made it a couple years ago, and looking to get back for, I believe it would be the second time in 3 years.
Nice. Once we get into spring sports, we'll have a little bit more to kind of preview and such when everything gets going here. So, But for college-wise, D3, it's still pretty darn busy because we've got the NCAA championships for wrestling going on this morning. We got indoor track and field NCAA championships also going on. The Blue Gold men's hockey team begin their national championship run tomorrow against Aurora in Illinois. And then we've got baseball going on. Blue Gold baseball is taking on St. Mary's. Softball. I mean, spring sports is starting to. Well, it has started, but it's getting into full gear here too for Division III for Stouts and for the Blue Golds too. So, but just checking. Yeah, the Blue Golds team actually next week is going to be their spring break trip down to Florida, and we talked to assistant coach Abby on the latest episode of the Rollin' with the Golds podcast a little bit about that. You can check it out wherever you listen to your podcasts or at sportstalk1051.com. That's your local sports roundup. A little bit of a quicker one. Brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center, just because we're in a transition from winter to spring sports.